Please stand. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city to make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Counsel Mercia.
Here.
Counsel Milonazo.
Here.
Counsel Rourke.
Here.
Counsel Samaras.
Here.
Counsel Belanger.
Here.
Counsel Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Here.
Counsel Leary.
Here.
9 present.
Council Samaras?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I'd like to have a moment of silence and darken the chambers for Ernest Ernie Deschanel. Ernest Ernie Deschanel, 61, of Lowell, Mass., died Thursday, July 20th, 2017, at his home surrounded by his loving family. He was married to Laurie Tucker Deschanel, with whom he celebrated their 20th anniversary on June 7th. Born in Lowell on October 17, 1955, he was the son of the late Maurice and Harriet Deschanel. A lifelong resident of Lowell, Ernie graduated from Lowell High School with the class of 1973. He earned his bachelor's degree in education from Lowell State College, which is now the University of Mass at Lowell. He earned his master's degree in education and administration from Rivier College. Ernie worked as an English teacher at Lowell High School since 1983. Ernie was a devoted and loving husband and father. He was an avid sports fan and enjoyed coaching his children and youth sports. Ernie coached for 40 years, beginning at the age of 18, coaching baseball for PYO, Lowell Vocational, and Lowell High School. He also coached the basketball for CYO, Lowell Travel, and Lowell Highlands for several years. He was a communicant at St. Rita's Church in Lowell. Beside his wife, he is survived by his 3 sons, Tucker, Luke, and Jake Deschanel, all of Lowell. 2 brothers, Paul Deschanel of Nashua, James Deschanel and his wife Paula of Lowell, brother-in-law George Tucker III and his wife Michelle of Dracut, and sister-in-law Lynn Rourke and her husband Kevin of Londonderry, New Hampshire. He leaves many nieces and nephews. I just want to say, as the former headmaster of Lowell High School, Ernie was one of my teachers. And I think the term teacher is very important. As a former headmaster, I can say that Ernie embodied all the best in teaching. He was there for every student. He made a difference. He will be missed at the high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chambers for 2 women. The first is Doris Christakis, an employee with the City of Lowell for 32 years. As she always said, her co-workers became like her second family. Doris was the mother of the late Tina Christakis, who died in 2014. Doris is survived by her 3 children, Shai, Jimmy, and Brandy Christakis, 3 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, her siblings, Christina, Alicia, Claire, and her brother Bobby Christakis. She will be truly missed. And I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chamber for Hazel Schofield. Her obituary wasn't very long. Her life went on without much fanfare, but she made an impression on me. She was a fixture in the downtown where she lived, dragging her shopping cart around with her. She kept to herself, but she had a remarkable presence about her. She came to stop in at my job on occasion, where I got to hear bits and pieces of her life. She came in to see me last week, sharing her pleasantries, and today she was buried. Hazel leaves behind several nieces and nephews and 1 grateful person for having met her. May you rest in peace, Hazel. Thank you.
Thank you. Under the mayor's business, we have a communication from the Republic of Southern Cameroons. It's a letter, and here to read the letter is Fru Nakenbe. And also, Councilor Mercier has a motion to the same effect. If there's a second of the motion, we'll take it up at the same time. Second by Councilor Leary.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank you to take that motion out of order. On May 2nd, I made a motion to support a resolution for the Southern Cameroon community in New England in its desire to restore its national sovereignty, and City Solicitor Christine O'Connor prepared the vote for this resolution, which passed unanimously, and it was presented to the government, and Fru Kimbang would like to address the council and thank the council for what they have done.
Mr. Mayor, dear councilors, city manager, and the wonderful people of Lowell, my name is Fru Nkimbeng. I bring greetings from King Angwafo, the third of Mancon, whom you know is an honorable member of this council, and the people of Bamenda, our sister city. We are very thankful of the unanimous resolution that you passed condemning the human rights abuse in the Southern Cameroon. The governing council in Southern Cameroon sent a thank you letter. They actually sent it, emailed it directly to the mayor, and also gave us a copy. So we would like to read the thank you letter to the council and the people of Lowell. Here, standing on my right, is George Foyong, the president of the Cameroonians of Lowell Association. And on my left is Patrick Manjong, and behind me is my son, Fru Nkimbang Jr.
On behalf of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonian Constituent United Front, Boya Southern Cameroons, a thank you letter to the city councilors of the city of Lowell, Massachusetts. Dear city councilors, the citizens of your sister city in Bamenda and citizens of the soon-to-be sovereign Republic of Southern Cameroons, both at home and in diaspora, would like to thank you unanimously, voting on May 2nd, 2017, to pass a resolution in support of self-determination and democratic freedom for our people. While it may be argued that resolutions do not have enforcement powers, no one would deny that they carry a moral virtue that is universally powerful and timeless. This can be seen in the results that the passage of your resolution did for our cause immediately after it was passed. Number one, thanks to the passage of the May 2nd resolution in the chambers of Lowell City Council, the government of French-speaking Cameroon was shamed to reinstate internet service to the English-speaking people of Southern Cameroons. Prior to the passage of the resolution, the English-speaking regions of Southern Cameroon were denied access to internet. Anyone familiar with the history of genocidal governments, including the history of Rwanda genocide, remember that media blockage is generally a prelude to genocide. There is unanimous belief in our community that your vote, the vote you cast in these chambers on May 2nd, 2017, helped prevent genocide and other forms of mass killings in Southern Cameroons. Two, thanks to the passage of the May 2nd resolution in the chambers of Lowell City Council, a major American law firm that is working to find legal pathways for the restoration of the independence of the English-speaking people of Southern Cameroons now has an important moral document on which to build its case. The law firm has actually gone beyond praising the Lowell City Council to quietly appeal to local governments in the cities across the United States of America to follow Lowell President's certain example. Thanks to the passage of the May 2nd resolution in the chambers of Lowell City Council, there is a rebirth of hope and enthusiasm in the people of Southern Cameroons. Victims who would have otherwise given up or resigned themselves to the machinism of persecution now know that only do they have a listening ear out there, they know they have an advocate. In passing the May 2nd, 2007 resolution in support of freedom for the people of Southern Cameroons, you prove once again that you are that light on a hill, the city whose light brightly shines to illuminate paths of freedom for regions and countries of the world that are yet to find freedom. Finally, in passing the May 2nd, 2017 resolution in support of freedom for the people of Southern Cameroons, you prove once again that you believe in the universality of preamble of America's Declaration of Independence that says, we hold this truth to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that amongst these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted amongst men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever a form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute a government. On behalf of the soon-to-be-freed citizens of Southern Cameroons, the African community of Lowell, I once again would like to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Signed June 30th, 2017, Tassan Wilfred, Secretary General of the Southern Cameroons United and Bozina Cameroon Front. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. So, any discussion from the City Council? If not, the Chair would entertain a motion to accept the communication, place it on file by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Rourke. Discussion, Councilor Leahy.
I just wanted to say thank you for coming down, speaking, and I'm glad that, I can't think who brought the motion up, maybe Councilor Mercia, but thank you that we could be part of that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. I concur. The motion passed unanimously and rightfully so. I think it's important while we are such a diverse city, and we know that we all have pride in our heritage and culture, that we take actions that we possibly can to support the human right atrocities that are taking place. And certainly, I've seen video after video of what's taking place, whether it's on Facebook or even national news. And this is the least that we can do to support the people that are suffering for the basic human rights that we have here. And I'm proud to take this vote and to support this effort.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? All opposed? So voted. Next, under the, thank you very much. Next, under the City Clerk, we have the minutes of the City Council meeting of July 11th for acceptance. We have a motion to accept the minutes, place them on file by Councilor Leahy, seconded by Councilor Leary. Discussion on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. Being before 7 o'clock, we'll skip ahead to communications from the city manager. We have items A through N. So we'll start with A, which is Buttman Road. Is there any discussion on Buttman Road?
Sure.
Councilor Leahy.
Through you to the manager, I just want to thank you for the efforts. The neighbors up there are appreciative of what we've done on Buttman Road, and just to keep it clean and keep it wide up there. It's can be a narrow section of that road up there. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on item A? If not, we'll move on to item B, which is the Collean alumni improvements. Any discussion on the Collean alumni improvements? Councilor Leary.
Just want to thank Karen Moynihan directly for, there's a couple of phone calls regarding the noise issues over at the Collie complaint. There was some issues regarding the PA system, and I guess it was a rented PA system, not our own. But if something's, Mr. City Manager, we could look into, it must be some type of ordinance that could be recommended to the City Council regarding how and what we're allowed to use over there as far as public address announcements. So anything we could do, but thank you to Karen Moynihan to address it, because that was something that we thought we had addressed initially, but you took care of it, and much appreciated.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on item B? If not, we'll move on to item C, the enforcement of no parking on sidewalks. Any discussion? Councilor Leahy.
Sure. I just want to say thank you to the manager and the police department. That was part of our discussion tonight for the public safety meeting, and neighborhood groups were there and very appreciative. It's just something that we have to stay on top of all the time. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on item C? If not, we'll move on to item D, which is the Folk Festival. Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the manager for the timely motion response, but I want to in particular thank DPW and the street crew for cleaning up in preparation for the Lowell Folk Festival, which is to take place this weekend. To all those at home, the weather looks beautiful, so please come on downtown and see this huge cultural event that is one of a kind in the nation, and we're extremely lucky to be able to host it. But with that being said, there's approximately about 150,000 visitors we'll be seeing over this coming weekend, and I know we're all very excited, and I think it's very important that we clean up the gateways and all the main arteries coming into the city. I think that's important for our image, to give a good, hopefully good lasting impression on our visitors, to hopefully give them more likelihood for them to come back and visit us again. So I want to thank all the necessary departments. I want to thank, in particular, Representative Tom Golden himself was cleaning on Route 110 with Mass Highway just last week, and I got pictures of that, got wind of that, so I want to thank Representative Golden as well. And the city is about to shine this weekend. We are on a big stage, and so please, to all the residents at home, come on down and partake in this huge, one-of-a-kind cultural event that, again, we're lucky enough to host. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on item D? If not, we'll move on to graffiti on the Ray Robinson Restaurant building at the corner of Jackson and Central Street. Any discussion on item E? Councilor Samaras.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. No, I just want to thank the city manager for his department doing quick work and taking the graffiti down. The one thing that the city can't afford is to have graffiti on the buildings on the main streets or any street in the city of Lowell. So I want to thank the city manager for making sure this was dealt with. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? If not, we'll move on to the use of cameras at city parks. Any discussion on item F?
Just real quick, we spoke about
Larry.
this regarding, at our public safety subcommittee. Do we have timeframes where this would be in place? And I guess part B of that question, we spoke about with the deputy chief regarding getting that technology in the police cruisers. What timeframes do we anticipate that technology being available? So part A really is what timeframes do we expect this to begin? And then going for like, just as a local, sorry.
The real technology guru in the police department is Mark Trudell, and I'll defer to you. The question is, first of all, the cameras, when will we see them appearing in these locations that are listed? And the second thing is, when will the technology be available in the cruisers for the police officers to view what the cameras are shooting?
Okay. Actually, the cameras, several have been deployed already. We have 8 online right now, and we have eight more coming beginning probably second, third week of August. We have purchase orders in place right now for that, and also for the new police servers that are going to support that.
And how about the technology in the police car itself? I mean, that was something
Okay.
we briefly, I don't know if that's something that's in the near future.
No, that's a good question. We're looking at a new video server and a new video management system that will allow us to transfer the video and use the mobile applications in the cruises. Havel right now is doing that, and we're actually evaluating what they're doing. And so we're looking at that probably in September timeframe.
It was an excellent report, and it, not that you want to be watched on a camera, but I think a lot of the complaints we get are in the different areas, and public parks are one of them. In my understanding, these cameras, we can move them around to different hot spots as well, so if an area becomes more challenging, we can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, that was the purpose of buying the
Yeah.
portable cameras, because we want to, not only the police department to use them, but inspectional services to use them. If we find places that have illegal dumping, we can move one of these portable cameras there to video what's going on and hopefully catch the culprits.
No, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, it's obviously you're concerned about being watched all the time, but there's some areas in parks where this is a valuable tool, so people can go and be, feel comfortable and be protected. And, seeing some of the technology, you can look at like Gorham Street Middle Street, Gorham and Moore Street, where it's something you can see active, that retail spot where, you know, if you see something happening, you can see it real time as opposed to waiting. So it does have a valuable resource. It does come with a flip side. We make sure we have to have best practices in place to make sure people's rights aren't violated. But I think overall, it's a technology that we need to use, and it'll hopefully help the law enforcement in the car level, making some decisions quicker and hopefully protect people even better than we're already doing it. Thank you.
That's a great point, because when we were preparing this response, I said to the superintendent of police, I said, do you want to let people know where these cameras are? And he said, absolutely. That's a crime deterrent in itself. If somebody knows that there are cameras at these spots, they're less likely to do any nefarious activities there. So we're publicizing these cameras as much as we can as a deterrent to crime.
And thank you very much for the report. Really appreciate it.
Any further discussion? Council Samaras.
Thank you. Officer Trudell, I also want to thank you for the quick action you took on Reed Street. You know, many of us attended a street meeting when there was a problem in the Centerville area. And when the people saw your quick attention to that, putting the cameras in, get a lot of comments from people saying, you know, you're listening to us. We hear it, and you're making our place safer. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. Council Leahy.
Thank you. Just a quick question to Officer Trudell. So we're in the process of setting these cameras up. We already have the network company maybe, or is that still being done?
Well, we've decided on the actual backbone that we're going to use for the network to provide the signal back to City Hall through the internet, or the, not the internet, but the institutional network. So we're going to use a hybrid solution. We're going to use wireless. We use direct connect to our iNet system throughout our municipal buildings throughout the city. We're also going to use cellular. It's all going to be brought together into a video management system. From there, we can view it from mobile applications, command posts here in the city manager's office, if you will, basically anywhere.
Was this something we did on our own, or did we sub it out to a technology company? Or?
Actually, we developed it internally here. We've worked with the City Hall IT staff, Fernandez's staff, and City Hall Police Department staff too. I mean, city police staff. And, yeah.
You have your own private police department now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Great work.
Okay.
Thank you, Council. Council Elliott and Council Mercy.
Excuse me, thank you. Officer Trudell, while I appreciate at least the last 8 cameras that are stationary, and they will be fixed at the parks, and I think that's important. And I understand the point where we want to let people know where the cameras are to provide, you know, I guess as a deterrent. On the other hand, I think we also need the ability to put cameras in, and to move the cameras, because as we learned from ShotSpotter, the crime started moving away from the potential locations. So is this something that these are somewhat mobile? Can they be relocated? Because at some point in time, I think they will outlive their usefulness if the perpetrators know exactly where they are. They're going to go somewhere else.
That's the hope. Yeah, actually, they can. Not all of them will be deployable. Some will be fixed. Majority will be deployable. You can pick them up and move them to a building top, a telephone pole, and we could also make them covert too if we wanted to. If we wanted to hide them, in like in a certain instance where we didn't want someone to know what was going on. But typically, it would be out there for the public to see and movable.
And I know there was some discussion of integrating, and I'm sure it's a server or capacity issue with integrating private homes that may want to be able to integrate with the police station. Is that too much of a monumental undertaking, knowing that the servers can only handle so much data?
Well, there's security issues that we have to keep in mind. You know, we don't want anyone trying to hack in or backdoor.
Oh, right.
But that's something that we would definitely discuss and look into. Maybe having a few cameras available. For instance, say we had the Folk Fest going this weekend. You know, we broadcast what's going on and have people have access from home. We would have that availability.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Mercy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Some time ago, when this council voted to appropriate funding for cameras, some which would be stationary, some that you could move around, there was grumbling in the community that people were tired of Big Brother watching. And at that time, I thought, if you don't have anything to hide and you're not doing anything wrong, what do you care if Big Brother is watching? So I'm thinking I'm so glad about this because human nature is such that there are always people trying to buck the system. And this is true where people reach into their wallets and they put out their big items in front of their house and they pay to do that. Why should someone try to beat the system and go behind and shove something on First Street or put it in a park somewhere? That's not fair to the good taxpayers that have to pay while someone is trying to beat the system. So I applaud everybody on this council for that vote, and I thank you for your expertise because Big Brother is watching. You want to litter this city, you're going to pay a price, and I'm very happy for that. Thank you so much.
Council Rook?
Thank you, McKay. Just to follow up on Council Elliott's point, I know when I think, for example, Markley came before the council, they had stated that they had cameras over in their neighborhood, Moore Street, Prince Ave, and so forth, and they were going to allow the police department to utilize their cameras for that neighborhood. Has that happened yet?
They have reached out to us, and right now, we're trying to develop a means for them to get into our system and ours into theirs. But something that will probably happen by the end of the summer, I would think.
Okay, and then there are also other businesses, I think on Merrimack Street, that had the same capability that had offered to the police department to be able to use those cameras as well. Is that the same circumstance as the Markley cameras?
Correct. And also, just to make a point as far as allowing other video into the city so we can actually use it, is the Housing Authority. We have a partnership with the Housing. We recently brought in their cameras on all their sites. We have over 200 cameras available to us right now.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on this item? If not, we'll move on to Veterans Park. Any discussion on Veterans Park? Councilor Leahy.
Just through you to the manager, just to say thank you for the quick work that Councilor Mercier and the DPW commissioner did with this. So it seems to be moving along well, and with the efforts from Rep. Nangle, everybody's appreciative of how quickly this is moving along. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on this item? Councilor Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, that was a very informative Parks Subcommittee, and Representative David Nangle is doing a wonderful job. He's going to create some sort of a task force to look at the different ideas on how it should be presented down there on Douglas Road. We want the very best for our veterans, and it takes a lot of money, and he's forming fundraisers for that particular park, and it's going to be a state-of-the-art, a credit to all the veterans, all the services that represent the veterans. So it's still in its beginning stages, but I took what we had from the subcommittee to the Board of Parks, and they supported the report of progress unanimously, so that's the good start. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on this item? If not, we'll move on to the Walter Bayless dedication. Any discussion?
Just first of all, thank you very much for the timely efforts on that, and thank you to Tommy Bellegarde for working with the Parks Commission, and thank you to the Parks Commission, and look forward to that dedication in the fall. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the Walter Bayless dedication? If not, we'll move on to the status of the RFP for the HCID. Any discussion? If not, we'll move, I'm sorry, Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank the manager for the response, but the concern I have here is that July 11th was a general project timeline, and no responses were received during this time. I know we have till August the 11th technically, but this doesn't seem like a good sign, Mr. Manager. Can you give me an explanation, please?
Well, that isn't a mandatory filing. That was just if somebody wanted to just make a filing to tell us who they were and what their thoughts were, but it wasn't mandatory. The real date is going to be the August 11th, where they're going to come in with a formal proposal. So based on this report, though, I've made sure that the DPD is reaching out to each and every person that attended Mayor Kennedy's open house to follow up and make sure they know about the August 11th deadline and to please submit something by that date.
Okay, so you're telling me that you do anticipate bids for the master developer?
Yes, I do.
You do, okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Counselor Leary.
Just quick, no, I mean, I want to echo off it, thank you. I think the August 11th date is significant, but I think Councilor Belanger's motion coming up later really explains how effective that presentation was, Mayor Kennedy, regarding really showcasing what the opportunities are. But also, I think from a homegrown standpoint of looking at what you've done so far in terms of really getting Watermark really to become a potential like satellite to this whole facility, having them come in and commit to that location is significant. And I think going forward, as I think we've all had said at different points in time, this is something that will happen, and it will have a dramatic effect not only on our commercial tax base in the community, but also changing the dynamic of that area, and really changing ultimately what downtown will be. So I think, Mayor Kennedy, I think your motion in terms of bringing people in to really bring the right people to really diagram what the opportunities are is going to be significant. And I think, unfortunately, everything takes time. The infrastructure, just to get there and to utilize, it's going to take a couple of years. I think it was said 2020. But ultimately, this is going to something that's going to be happening, and it's going to happen in a very positive way for the entire city. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? If not, the next item is Inland Street. And Counselor Leary.
First, thank you. I sent you, there was a citizen who sent a couple of pictures regarding that street. I know the traffic engineer has a lot of information, put a lot of effort into it. I think it's a good thing that we sit down with the neighborhood group, because not everybody's in a complete agreement regarding trees removal versus not tree removal because of some of the flooding issues that are occurring in folks' basements. But I think it's good that, at least that gentleman shared the issues that he's facing, and at least some of the houses that he has. I know that Nick probably hasn't even had a chance to look at that yet, but sitting down with them and having a good, dialogue, I think will be improved. It'll be much better than what occurred, about 15, 20 years ago on Viola Street, where we just did it and then here you go, you're living in a desert area. I think these people really just want to have that dynamic and have that dynamic. They want to have that discussion, and I think that'll be good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Inland Street? Hearing none, we'll move on to the South Common. Any discussion, Councilor Belanger?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, for starters, South Common, it's funny, I just walked from the train station, just walked by there today, and it is looking beautiful, Mr. Manager. Really, these improvements are really coming along. This park is soon to be resurrected. So it looks great, but what's a little troublesome to me is that through Councilor Rourke's motion about lighting it up and adding more safety and security, it seems like we're not going to begin the work till fall of 2018. Now, how does it, that's what I have in the report here. How come the improvements are going on as we speak, and the lighting, we have to wait another almost a year and a half? What's going on?
Yeah, well, because it's the 2018 capital budget, but we'll be getting it in the fall of 2017. So the money is available right now. The City Council has approved this money, and you're going to Mr. Bellegarde will tell you that you're ordering those 4-pole lights for the South Common Field, and they should be in by this fall. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Manager. And as the manager indicated, this is 2018 money being implemented, hopefully late summer. That's the lights, that's irrigation improvements, maintenance to the field, security lights. We already have the scope of work laid out. It's just a matter now of getting out the bid, which we're meeting with the financial team this week to access those accounts.
Okay, Commissioner Bellegarde, thank you. You're doing great over there, by the way. Again, I can't, wow, it really looks good. I was able to walk through a little bit. What a difference. But please, if there's somehow if we can expedite this to the spring or summer of 2018, that would help, because we're talking about youth activities and youth sports that utilize this. We're talking about public safety through lighting. So please, if there's any way we can expedite it, it'd be, please do your best. I know you will. It'd be greatly appreciated.
It's our goal to have football games on that field before football season's over.
Well, thank you. Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner. You're doing great. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on this item? If not, we'll move on to the Hamilton Canal Innovation District Open House. Any discussion? Councilor Belanger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, to you, it turns out your motion here was a real winner. For starters, I would like to thank all the city staff and the advisory committee that the manager put together to make this event a success. It was attended by almost 130 interested parties. It was advertised very aggressively through all outlets through New England, Lowell Sun, Boston Business Journal, Banker and Tradesman. We had help from our partners in the city, UMass Lowell M2D2, the Lowell Plan, just to name a few. And that's what it takes, all our partners to collaborate to make this a success, and that's certainly what it was. So we're looking forward to DPD following up with these interested parties, as the manager alluded to just moments ago. So we're really on our way down there after a long reprieve, but still we have a ways to go. But Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager, you also have a note here of there will be a follow-up event that will yield greater results. If you could elaborate on that a little bit. I don't know. You or somebody from Planning and Development in the report. I don't know if it's another open house of some sort, or,
I'm sorry, but could you point that out?
yeah, on the second page of the motion response, the second to last paragraph, in fact, the follow-up to the event will yield greater results with consistent outreach from DPD staff.
So what does that consist of, I'm wondering?
On page 2, second to the last.
I think this is what I was talking about earlier, is that we had Mayor Kennedy's open house, and we were able to get a list of people that were there.
Right.
And then we will follow up with them.
Okay.
And so that will yield greater results at the next event, which will be the August 11th deadline for presenting the RFP.
Okay, so what you're alluding to,
Yeah.
okay.
There isn't a formal open house or an event like that. I think
Okay.
he's referring to that event.
Okay, well, we have Mr. Coughlin at the podium. Mr. Mayor, through you, Mr. Coughlin, how have responses been? You've been doing a great job down there with recruiting these partners. We have Sal Lapoli interested, SNR, and we know we have Watermark that's signed officially, a land disposition agreement, which is great news. So, Mr. Coughlin, how are we doing with these other parties moving forward, and how has interest been to this point?
Well, I think the interest, Councilor, Mayor, Mr. Manager, I think the interest from this event generated significant leads and significant opportunity for further investigation as to what is the right company at the right time that's going to be interested there. Particularly, I think we're seeing the heightened value in the partnership with M2D2 and the Innovation Center on site, specifically as that points to the bio industry and perhaps our preparedness to proceed and try and specialize in that area. Also, I think we have tapped into, through the whole DPD team, the ability to see the value of the mentoring and the innovation, and also the potentiality for greater laboratories and other things associated with the university at the site. We have been a catalyst, I think, for the recent activity that the manager mentioned on the site. It's been mentioned here earlier tonight, and it's the continued effort by the DPD staff not to let any of these leads fall off the table. And I think that was the wish and the will of the council as we moved forward with this first event, and I think that we will continue to monitor, bring in new leads. Daily, some new leads are coming in. Some come into different offices. The manager had a referral today that he wished to follow up on, and we will make sure that nothing falls off the plate as we go forward to bring the fullest potential to that site.
Thank you, Mr. Coughlin. That's great news. Now, do we still have a presence? I know DPD months ago had a table. We had a presence at M2D2 to keep contact with these businesses as they branch out, because that facility is extremely, extremely valuable to us at that district. That M2D2 is MIT and Harvard. Okay, that's what it is to us. It's very important, and we want to retain those businesses when they're ready to branch out, that we want to be there to grab them and finally, hopefully, find a host facility here within the city's boundaries. So are we still doing that aggressively at M2D2?
Yes, Councilor. In fact, we've expanded the aggressiveness. We have expanded not only our table that Allison Lamy, the director at the DPD, does on a monthly basis down there, but we've also become very proactive at reaching out and attending seminars and attending meetings of the Mass Biosciences in Boston.
and other opportunities by mass development and those offered through the Secretary of Economic Development in Boston. So we're becoming very proactive in that area.
Thank you, Kevin. Outstanding, outstanding. That is great. We are making great headway in that district in just the last few months. So I'm very, very pleased. I think my colleagues share the same sentiment. But thank you, Kevin, and to the manager and to DPD. Please keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to either the manager or Kevin Coughlin. Two things. One, I understand that Jay Ash was in the Greater Lowell area today, and I guess my question is, for those of you that may have been in attendance, was the Hamilton Canal Innovation District part of his upbeat presentation, number one? And number two, have we sent any of our team members down to the Kendall Square Innovation District I know there's a lot going on in Somerville. I see Somerville had some representation at the July 11th meeting. So I'm just wondering if we've actually gone down to view some of what's going on in and around the Kendall Square and or the Somerville area.
Yes, Secretary Jay Ash was here for the Chamber of Commerce breakfast, and he did tout Lowell very well, including the Hamilton Canal District, and he did say there is a lot to like about Lowell, and it was rewarding to hear him say that. Could you just explain the outreach that we'd be doing, and including Kendall Square and other areas?
We actually have used the resources of former city manager Bob Healy also to tap into connections in the Kendall Square and the Cambridge area. We used it significantly in the promotion of this past event in June, and we were able to tap into companies that, timing-wise right now, are not able to take a look at the Hamilton district, but able in the future over a period of a couple of years, and mindful of the fact that many of the final dimensions to the district will come together in the fall of 2020, that it gives us about a 2-year window in order to have companies that may be proposing changes or looking outside of the Boston area to come here. In addition to that, the manager instructed Assistant City Manager Mike McGovern and myself to travel to Boston one day with members of the Boston Redevelopment Association to see if there are any leads, and they have the ability to also cooperate with us. And then in the city of Boston and Cambridge itself, we have identified certain sectors, certain industries that have the ability to look outside of Boston now. We've seen some movement outside because of the price, because of the difficulty getting workforces into Boston with the traffic. And I think we have a perfect location here, right in the intersections 495, Route 3, short distance on 93. So we are doing extensively, taking a look there, and particularly for that pharmaceutical industry, I think we, as a bio-ready community, are in a good place.
Great, thank you. If I could just suggest that it might make some sense to have someone from the Planning and Development Office actually reach out to the executive producer of Chronicle, because they have done a number of pieces on Somerville, on Kendall Square, and it might be good to get them here now, talk about the groundwork that we're doing, and actually say in 2018, 2019, 2020, you really ought to come back and see the finished product. So it might make some sense to get the executive producer up here for a visit. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Councilor Milazzo's points, that's very interesting. I know that there was a motion filed some time back about even Providence, Rhode Island, about sending some, representation from the city down there. And I would, gladly second any motion by Councilor Milazzo about sending some members of DPD or, the mayor or some of the council that would want to go and check these places out. I just read recently about a redevelopment, actually in a part of New York City, Allentown, that a company came in, a developer came in and totally just revamped the area. So I think it's a progressive idea of being more proactive than reactive. So I'll go anything that the council would want to submit as a form of a motion. I think it's a terrific idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Councilor Leary.
No, and I agree with that too, absolutely. That is a great idea. Definitely would support it. But something else that Mr. Coughlin said about the Boston Redevelopment Authority, that's interesting. I think it's something we should try to look into to really work with probably the Lowell Plan or some other programs here to really mimic what the Boston Redevelopment Authority is doing. It might be something we can take on in a minor scale, but what they're doing in Boston is extraordinary. And I think reaching out and doing something like that would be very positive. Thank you.
thank you. Any further discussion? Mr. Manager?
That's an interesting point because they have a simple theory. It's reach out. They reach out to developers, they reach out to anybody they can. But it's an interesting thing with Boston, with the BRA. They actually get points from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for the funding, their funding, if they refer a developer or a business to another community. Say somebody comes to see the BRA and they can't find a suitable spot or they can't afford the rent there. If the BRA refers them to a Lowell, which we've asked them to do, they actually get points from the Commonwealth relative to their funding for future projects. So we've got a pretty good partnership with the BRA. And we're
No,
gonna
and I think
continue with
that's very good, because I think that's the right way to do it, and really develop what they're, trying to mimic what they're doing is what we should be doing. It's sort of like a minor league team, really, in terms of supporting what Boston's doing. But I think that's kudos to you and your team for doing that, because I think it's very positive. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this item? I'd just like to take a moment to commend Kevin Coughlin from the DPD for the work that he did with the task force. It was in putting together the showcase day for the Hamilton Canal Innovation District. There was a task force comprised of several people from the community who donated their time, their expertise, and their input, and all of that went together into making that a successful event. So I think they should be pointed out, and I believe they're named in the report that the manager sent out this week. If there's no further discussion, the next two items are informational. One is the Amber Zepaka dedication. Any discussion on that? Councilor Mercia.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It did get referred to the Board of Parks. I spoke on behalf of that. They supported it unanimously. There will be a dedication in early fall, and I'll keep the council apprised of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion on that item? If not, the last item is National Night Out. Any discussion? Councilor Mercia.
When it came time to the very end tonight, I was going to talk about it, but since it's already there, you want to talk about it now?
If you'd like
at
to
the
save it till the end.
I'll save it to the end.
Okay.
That's fine.
All
Thank
right,
you.
then the chair would entertain a motion to accept the communications from the manager and place them on file. We have a motion by Councilor Rourke to that effect, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Discussion on the motion, all in favor, all opposed. So voted. Being shortly after 7 o'clock, we'll go to the, back to the public hearings, item 4.1, and open up the public hearing this evening is to amend the ordinance to extend the LI zone to include 25 only street. So it's an ordinance amending the code in the city of Lowell, Massachusetts with respect to chapter 290 thereof entitled zoning by extending the existing LI zoning district to include 25 only street in Lowell. We'll open up the hearing for those who wish to speak in favor. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor?
Good evening, Mayor Kennedy, Manager Murphy, members of the council. For the record, my name is Attorney Steve Geary, and I represent Kevin Fernandez and his wife Debbie, who have that property at 25 Olney Street under agreement. Historically, this went out to bid from the city of Lowell a while ago. It had been taken by a tax taken sometime in the 90s and a vacant lot since then. My client's proposal was accepted. That's contingent upon this LI zone being extended to include this property in Olney Street. And this matter was referred from your body here to the planning board, which we appeared before the planning board on Monday night, and we received very favorable comments and unanimous approval from the planning board. So this is, I see it, and they saw it as a win-win for the city. It's going to put this property back on the tax roll. It's going to help my clients with their current business, which I think we're all familiar with, Mario's Furniture on Gorham Street, which the only street connects to that on the other end. And what he plans on doing is building a two-bay garage. It's going to be consistent with a residential exterior, although it's going to be hopefully extended to light industry. It's going to still have that residential garage look, and he's going to be able to take trucks off his property and store them inside there, which is a safety issue as well as a security issue, and provide extra storage for Mario's Furniture. So it's going to be on the tax roll. He's going to be spending about $100,000 to do that. So it's as I see it, and I think as the planning board saw it, as a win-win. So I'd hope that this board would vote to extend that LI district down there. And happy to answer any specific questions if anybody has one, but would be asking you to extend that district.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? In favor?
I have to squeak over.
Hi, my name is Sandra McNamara, and you and everybody knows me as an inspector, retired inspector in the city. And I have to say this much about this business owner. When they moved from Central Street to Gorham Street, never once was there an issue with trash, debris. They were excellent, awesome in all the years I dealt with them. And more so, there was a few garages on there that we had problems with draining oil or whatever, and they were always there. They were always there, I want to say, to watch my back, because I never worried when I went to Only Street, even up on the railroad tracks, when we had issues up there. Again, I never had to worry, because this business owner was always there, willing to help. Even if it wasn't his land, he was there, willing to help just to get the debris or whatever out of the way. So again, couldn't happen to a better business than Mario's. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in favor? In favor, in favor, in favor? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing on behalf of the proponents and open up for those who wish to speak in opposition. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? In opposition, in opposition, in opposition. Hearing none, we'll close the hearing and open it up to the council. Council Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you heard Steve Gary say, the planning board held a public hearing on Monday. There was no one that spoke in opposition. It does not constitute spot zoning. The support was unanimous. And we're allowing an existing business that has proven their worth in this city for many, many, many years, that incidentally sells excellent furniture, and to allow this business to expand. I would like to move approval. Thank you.
So the motion approved, seconded by Council Leary. Discussion on the motion. If there's no objection, we'll also take up item 5.8, which is a communication from the planning board recommending the zoning amendment at the same time. Hearing no objection, we'll take those concurrently. And is there any further discussion on the motion to approve? Council Leahy.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that this is a great business and a great neighbor for the neighborhood, and they're always there to go the extra mile to contribute to their neighbors and to make sure that their neighborhood is safe and clean, and they run an excellent business. So happy to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Belanger.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with my colleagues that, Mario's Furniture has been there a number of years. It's a very successful business. That corridor itself is experienced. There's a pharmacy next door to the business that's done very well. And this corridor has experienced a little congestion as of late due to the success of the businesses. So this will help relieve that, get cars off the street, get the proper storage that this furniture business needs, and put a property back on the tax roll. So it's an absolute win-win for this business. They deserve it wholeheartedly, and I support the extension. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. I, too, support this, and Mario's Furniture has been a terrific business over there on Gorham Street for a number of years. My question is, what's the sale price, purchase and sale agreement? And again, it's probably here, or maybe Attorney Geary knows. I'm just for the record.
I believe it was 12,500?
15,500.
15,500.
Okay.
And that was via an appraisal that we did.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras. Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Leary.
Yes.
9 yeas.
All right, moving on to 5.2. If there's no objection, the chair would entertain a motion to bundle 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, and 5.5 together.
Yes.
We have a motion to do that. And with that, Council Mercer, a motion to accept the communications, place them on file.
Yes.
So moved, seconded by Council Milonazo. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next is a communication to appoint Sarah Marks to the Pollard Memorial Library Board of Trustees. Do we have a motion approved by Council Leary, seconded by Council Leahy? Discussion, roll call.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Leary.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, item 5.7 is a communication to appoint Wayne Savigny Sr. to the Lowell Housing Authority as the tenant representative. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Counsel Milonazo, seconded by Counsel Leary. Discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Mr. Savigny?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, I'd just like to be brief, thank the city manager for this appointment. I look forward to working with the Lowell Housing Authority and representing all the tenants of that authority. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Counsel Milonazo.
Thank you, just briefly, and I certainly appreciate Mr. Savigny's willingness to serve, but I just want to mention that the former tenant representative on the board, Rosalie Willie Bonglo, actually bought a house. So that's pretty exciting to see that, and I just wanted to mention that and congratulate Rosalie for her years of service, plus buying a house. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. All right, 5.8 was taken up previously. The next is a communication from the city manager requesting out-of-state travel for 5 different people. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Counsel Mercia, seconded by Counsel Rourke. Discussion, roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute the annual action plan for 2017 and 2018. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading and go to the second reading, which is authorizing the approval and submission of the federal fiscal year 2017-2018 City of Lowell Alumni Action Plan to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Counsel Milonazo, seconded by Counsel Mercia. Discussion? Counsel Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I want to congratulate the Citizens Group for putting another very good annual action plan together. But I did want to mention and to point out that out of all of the various social service programs that you see here on this map, not one of them is over by Colley Stadium. Not one of them. So again, they're in the Central Business District, and I just thought it was important to point out that these social service programs, which do support a number of the programs downtown and a number of our students, not one of them in the Belvedere neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
Next is a vote authorizing the city manager to execute 2 temporary easements for the Lowell Canal bridges. If there's no objection, this is for the Tiger project. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading and go to the second reading, authorizing the city manager to execute 2 temporary easements in furtherance of the Tiger project. We have a motion to approve. Motion approved by Counsel Mercia, second by Counsel Leahy. Discussion. Roll call.
Counsel Mercia.
Yes.
Counsel Milonazo.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
Counsel Samaras.
Yes.
Counsel Belanger.
Yes.
Counsel Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counsel Leahy.
Yes.
Counsel Leary.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
Next, we have a vote to transfer for temporary and permanent easements regarding the Tiger Bridge project and soil recommendations for, at Lowell High School. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading and go to the second reading. Be it ordered to transfer $200,000 for payments for temporary and permanent easements regarding the Tiger Bridge project and soil remediation at Lowell High School. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Counsel Mercia, seconded by Counsel Leary. Discussion on the motion, Counsel Milonazo.
If I could, through you to the manager, where did we get the dollar amounts, the value for the acquisition of the property at 120 and then professional services at 80,000? Do we actually have the temporary easement appraised? Were they actually appraised at this point?
Yes, we had the appraisals for the easements.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Counsel Rourke.
Okay, so there's 120 for the canal bridges and 80 for the remediation. what was the size of the remediation at the site of the high school? How big was it?
I'd ask Sarah Brown from our DPD. Did you hear the questions?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yep. So the area to be remediated extends from Father Morissette Boulevard all the way to the back of the Lord Building, and only to the trolley tracks. It doesn't extend beyond the trolley tracks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is that it, Council Rook? Okay, any further discussion, Council Leahy?
So the entire grassed area that exists there currently, yep, the whole length from Father Morissette Boulevard all the way to the Lord Building, and then we're only going 2 feet away from the trolley tracks that exist there. Yep. Approximately a foot. Yep, just 1 foot. The contamination was located between 0 and 12 inches when we did our soil analyses. Yep, no problem.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Leary.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next is a vote authorizing the city manager to do temporary easements to Mass DOT at 2 locations. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading. Go to the second reading, authorizing the city manager to grant and execute temporary easements to the Massachusetts Department of Transportation Highway Division or its successors for certain parcels of land identified as 34-TE-3 and 34-TE-4 in the city of Lowell. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Leary. Discussion on the motion, roll call.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council
Yes.
Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Leary.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
Next on the orders from the city manager. We have orders for a 60-day trial at various locations. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading, go to the second reading. Pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances in the City of Lowell, Massachusetts concerning Section 266-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion approved by Council Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. Discussion on the motion, roll call.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Leary.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we have an ordinance to create 2 clinical recovery specialist part-time grant and salaries in the HHS department. The proper motion will be referred to a public hearing on August 8, 2017 at 7 p.m. Motion by Council Leary, seconded by Councilor Mercia to do that. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, under subcommittee reports, do we have a report from the Public Safety Subcommittee for July
Yes.
25th? Council Leahy.
Thank you. Tonight at 5:30, we held the Public Safety Subcommittee meeting. In attendance were myself, Council Leary, and Council Rourke. Also, Council Belanger, Mercia, Elliott, Samaras, Milonazo, and the mayor popped his head in. City manager was in attendance, and also we had neighborhood leaders from the Highlands, Centerville, Pawtuckettville, Back Central, downtown. So we had a full house. We had Deputy Superintendent Kelly Richardson also there to answer questions. So we had 3 topics that we basically talked about. We had, first we talked about drug violations in the city and what we were doing with it and how many arrests were happening. So Deputy Superintendent Richardson informed us about the work that the Narcotics Division, the task force was doing, and the excellent work that they are doing with keeping an eye on drug violators throughout the city. We also had a discussion about the parks throughout the downtown, just keeping an eye on Lucy Larkin Park, Jack Kerouac Park, just to make sure that the activity is down and that people aren't being disturbed, and that violations are not being permitted over there. We talked about motor vehicle violations including registration violations, parking on sidewalks. So we heard from neighborhood leaders. We talked about the nuisance of parking on the sidewalks. And we've issued actually a lot of tickets, 760 tickets over the last few months, 575 tickets just from the patrolmen's cars driving throughout the neighborhoods, just trying to get the message out there. Stop parking on the sidewalk. It's a safety issue in all of our neighborhoods. We talked about court violations. When we were talking about the motor vehicle violations, Council Rourke actually gave us some good information that the courts on Tuesdays and Thursdays in particular are seeing a lot of violations being dealt with just from the Lowell area. So the police department and our inspectional departments are out there doing a lot of work in the Lowell area. And third, we had a good discussion on just general neighborhood safety concerns. We heard from Bill Daly from Back Central neighborhood, Highlands neighbor, Mr. Robert Hunt, Ded Forgione from the Pawtuckaville, and Jack Moynihan from the downtown area. So we talked about different concerns that we had for fireworks, code enforcement, zoning issues, and even, so downtown, even some crossing light issues, nuisances that were corrected. So we had a good discussion about just different things that are affecting the neighborhood's concerns, and it was good to have everybody here from the neighborhood groups to express their concerns. Overall, everybody seems to be happy. I think that the Lowell Police Department, the city workers are doing an excellent job. And, you know, it just takes all of us together to work as a team to make our neighborhoods work. So that's a report of progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Is there any further discussion regarding Chairman Leahy's report of progress? Chair would entertain a motion to accept it as a report of progress by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Leary. Discussion on the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. If there's no objection, we'll bundle items 9.2 and 9.3, which are National Grid items, requesting installation of a pole and anchor located at 144 Chelmsford Street, and the installation of one JO and SO pole at Gorham Street, one SO stub pole at Newhall, and one JO pole at Ellsworth Street. Chair would entertain a motion to accept and adopt the accompanying order for both of those items by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Milanazzo. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. If there's no objection, the chair would recommend that we bundle item 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4 all together. Those are all either going to the law department or the traffic department. Do we have a motion to do so?
moved.
And to refer them all to either the law department or the traffic engineer. By Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Milanazzo. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, we have two items from National Grid requesting the installation of a new pole located at 71 Rogers Street and requesting location of gas pressure regulator to sidewalk on Father Morrisette Boulevard. If there's no objection, we'll waive the full first reading and refer them to a public hearing on August 8, 2017 at 7 p.m. Do we have a motion to that effect by Councilor Rourke, second by Councilor Milanazzo? Discussion on the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, we come to City Council motions. The first motion is by Councilor Mercia, requests that the City Council recognize, well, we've taken that up. So the next motion is by Councilor Elliott and Councilor Mercia, requests that the city manager meet with the Finance Subcommittee to create a financing plan to minimize the impact of debt service of the high school to senior citizens and those on fixed income. It needs no second. Who wants to go first? Councilor
That's
Mercia.
okay. I know that Rodney is more eloquent with his figures, but this motion, to me, is that there are different ways to structure the way a city pays off a debt or a bond. and I'm telling you that I'm not a professional in this, but when it comes to the high school, I want to know what is your opinion, and I'm asking Connor, which would be the best, the most advantageous as it's related to the wallets of people that are on a fixed income or seniors. So I'm referring this motion in that respect to you. There's many ways to do it. There's debt exclusion. There's whatever way you feel as a professional, because I just sit in this seat and do other things, but you are the professional. So maybe you could guide us as to what you would feel is the best and most advantageous, because we're nervous for the seniors. We're nervous for people on fixed income. And this is the gist of what I feel about this motion. I know that my colleague probably has more in-depth discussion to that, so that's my part of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Elliott?
Thank you. Well, not much more, because that's the crux of the issue. Certainly, we know that we had a number of finance subcommittee meetings held throughout the course of the last several months, and we did raise this issue at that particular time. Paying for the high school clearly has been the issue. Certainly, that is a concern. And certainly now that the option has been selected, and the lowest cost option, we need to find a way and to reassure, and we spoke about this at one of the subcommittee meetings, that there are options. There are a way to structure the debt so that the seniors and those people that are on fixed income that to some degree would be affected a little bit more because their earning capacity is set. We need to lower the debt for the first number of years versus the later years where, folks like myself and folks with families should be paying for the bulk of it. Most of the seniors, they have already paid for debt, in my opinion, for the existing high school, and moving forward, we should relieve that burden as much as we can, and the way to do that is to present options. And bear in mind, we do know that it's not going to be for a number of years before this hits the tax rate, and I just think it's important for us to let the seniors know that there is a way to do it. We're here to help. We're going to do it. There are bills also pending in the legislature to increase the exemption that, at some point we should support, because it's, cost of living increases from Social Security just are almost non-existent. So we put this motion forward to meet with the Finance Subcommittee again, to start now sharpening our pencils and fine-tuning exactly what the impact is and how we can minimize that for people on fixed income that are very concerned. They don't want to lose their houses. We don't want them to lose their houses by any stretch, and we want to remove any fear or anxiety that they may have. And the way to do that is to present scenarios and to look into scenarios that allow us to do that, to let them know we're going to relieve the burden for you folks that are concerned about it. I mean, we're all concerned about it, don't get me wrong, but the seniors have paid their dues. They've paid for other improvements at the high school, and it's the next generation should be able to absorb more of the burden of that. So that's the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Belanger, then Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a great motion. Any way we can offer relief to the elderly and those on a fixed income, I am certainly all for. And I think the time to start is now. But, Mr. Mayor, through you to Connor Baldwin, now, obviously, we have enough capacity in the levy to absorb the cost of this high school. Are we able to use creative financing through the levy, or does that involve using a debt exclusion? Can we tailor it? Is there an advantage using, and I think debt exclusion has come up with more than one counselor, are we able to fashion payments in a way where it's top-heavy? I mean, as Councilor Elliott alluded to, where low payments in the beginning, higher payments in the end. Are we able to do that while using the levy capacity, or do we have to go the route of another option? I guess, Connor, is what I'm asking you.
Thank you, Counselor. There's a number of options that certainly the finance team would look into relative to the request from this motion. Not necessarily from a debt exclusion, which wouldn't impact the tax payment from the residents, but maybe looking into short-term financing in the beginning of the project and issuing short-term notes to meet the cash flow so that the full impact of the debt service is pushed back. There's a number of options available. We'll work with our financial advisory firm that sells bonds all the time, especially bonds for school buildings, and we'll come back with a report for consideration by the council.
Okay, and you think we can we can use this sort of creative financing, if you will, Connor, with using
from within the existing
levy? Okay,
that's
all right.
correct.
Okay, well, that's great news. I think it's a great motion that hopefully we can achieve some relief in the short term anyhow. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support the motion because I certainly hope that something good will come out of it. I have a lot of confidence in Connor Baldwin and his ability to work with the Finance Subcommittee and come up with creative ways, if that's the word that we want to use. But I have to say that when I looked at the motion and I saw the makers of the motion were on the prevailing side to put the high school at Colley Stadium, I did view this as nothing more than pandering for votes. Looking at the elderly, looking at people on fixed income, and I just can't believe the gall and the audacity that they feel that that's okay. Not only that, they're putting this high school in the neighborhood that Councilor Mercia said she lives on the poor side of Andover Street. Well, I live on the poor side of Andover Street too, and my taxes are going up $850 to $900, and I'm happy to do it. But at the end of the day, we're now suggesting that we're going to take relief off of the senior citizens and people on fixed income, which I hope Councilor Mercia, who's in this protected class, actually exempts herself from this vote. We're going to put it more on the Belvedere and the Highlands and the Centerville people. It just is outrageous to me. I do think, again, I'm going to support the motion because I do have confidence in Connor Baldwin, the city manager, and the team. But this is nothing, again, in my opinion, nothing more than pandering for votes. And I'm actually a little insulted by it.
Thank you. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I didn't know that we had psychics that were sitting at these chairs, because I don't know how anybody's getting into my head and knowing how I feel about what. I happen to be alone myself. I don't have the luxury of a husband that has an income coming in, whether it be Social Security or a pension. I'm alone. I didn't lift up my finger and see where's the big crowd coming from because I wanted to support that so I'd get reelected. Personally, I'll tell you right now, if I don't get reelected, so be it. I went down knowing that I voted from my heart for what I believe in, not what my friends told me to do or a neighbor told me to do. And let me just tell you this, why don't you run for office instead of not running for office and saying nasty things, not only to me, but to my colleagues? How dare you put your name on the ballot and see where it takes you? Or do you, are you psychic that you know you won't be reelected?
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness.
All right, let's just bring it down a couple
Yeah, really, Rita, please.
Please, Jim, please.
Council
Be a
Leahy.
gentleman for a
Council
change.
Leahy.
Tough getting called out, huh?
Be a
I
gentleman.
Thank you. I just wanted to support the motion, but only because I think that, we just need to know where we're going with the debt service. Not only do we have the high school to pay for, but we have improvements at the existing high school and improvements with police and fire. So I would hope that's part of the whole discussion. I know we're concentrating just on the new high school, but we have other financial obligations, and not to really personalize this, but it's really not just fixed income and elderly. It's kids, people that are putting their kids through college and families that are just starting out purchasing homes. So it affects everybody in retrospect. So I understand what the motion is kind of targeting, but it does affect everybody. I mean, if you're a first-time homeowner or you're going through those college years or whatever. So we just want to get a good handle on how we're going to pay for everything. Thank you.
Thank you. I just remind everybody that this motion is to refer it to the Finance Committee where it can be explored. Councilor, okay. Councilor Elliott.
You know, it really is incumbent upon us as elected officials to raise the bar when we have a discussion about issues here. And Robert's rule was very specific not to make it personal. You know, Councilman Molinazzo, I don't understand what's the matter. I understand you're on the losing end of things, but I certainly have been on the losing end of issues more often than not. And it's okay to have a difference of opinion, but for you to belittle this motion, I'm down at the senior center regularly. And that's what their concern is. And I think it's incumbent upon me and Council Mercier. We're down there a lot. So for you to take the motion and spin it into, you know, an angry tirade over what you think we're doing, we're all looking for votes. That's what we do. We run for office to get elected. And I think that this is not the first year, 20 years of going down to the senior center. So I'm very disappointed in your tact and your comments about the intent of this motion. I'm concerned about everyone, but they are a vulnerable part of the population, and they are concerned, and we should do what we can. We've had discussions months ago about this. This issue just wasn't raised tonight. So you can have your opinion, but the personal criticisms, they need to stop. You yourself say, respect the body politic. We can have our disagreements, but week after week of personal confrontations is not the way to have constructive government. This is a serious motion about people who are very concerned, and that's what it's about. It's not anything more or anything less. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Councilor Elliott. Requests that city manager look into developing a 311 app to allow residents to report issues. Do we have a second to the motion? Council Leary. Councilor Elliott.
So this motion is about giving people access to report issues to, I know we have eGov, but this is just for the phone. It's for smartphones. Lots of folks have smartphones. And the city of Boston has an app called, it's a 311 app, essentially. I did forward it to everybody, unfortunately, just a little while ago, and there's a picture of exactly what it looks like. I know that we have developed the parking app, and we're looking into another one as well. But just moving forward, I don't know how costly this is, but what the essence of the app on the phone is, it's a Boston app. The screen comes up and you can send in pictures of, say, I don't know, potholes or needles or any number of things. And so it's one step. I know we have eGov. I know we receive lots of complaints through email. This makes it a little bit easier for folks to be able to communicate with the government. It could be even police, whether it's, you know, boom boxes or cars parked on the sidewalks, and they can send it directly to perhaps similar to eGov. Secondly, then it also provides a map, similar that we have with the crime ComStat reports, of whether it's been addressed, and the pin says it becomes a color, either green or red. It's still be looking. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but something that I think we can look into, and I don't know what the cost is to develop these apps, if they're extensive or not, but just a way to provide a service for people, as well to make government run more efficiently. Certainly, if we have folks doing some work in a particular neighborhood, they could just as easily go that in a timely manner versus crisscrossing the city. So I'll stop there. The motion certainly speaks for itself. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Samaras.
No, I support that motion. I think it's a good idea. I had offered something like that similar when I first came on board and talked about its expense. But I think what Councilor Elliott's alluding to now, technology has changed a lot. And this gives our residents, especially actually our senior citizens or anybody, quicker access to government about problems that they see, may not understand, would not, Councilor Elliott talked about if they saw drug needles, it may be something that, do I call the police department or not? But I most certainly can call the city. So I think it's a good motion. I think it's a time to look into that, because I think the costs have come down, and to see the possibility of that would be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Counselor Milonazo. Request that the city manager contact representatives of the UMass Lowell to discuss the status of the dormitory preparations at Perkins Loft and to inform the abutters as to the status. Second by Counselor Rourke. Counselor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we all have received emails from some of the residents over at Renaissance, and they and we, I believe, were told back a year or so ago that Perkins Loft would be for upperclassmen, graduate students, visiting professors, and I guess they're hearing now that that may not be the case. I'm not saying it isn't, but that may not be the case. So I just thought it would be a good idea to have you, Mr. Manager, reach out to UMass Lowell and just find out what their plans are. And I think from a timing standpoint, I think the students are moving in for this upcoming semester, so I guess time is of the essence. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Councilor Samaras. Request that the city manager have the Department of Planning and Development create a plan to revitalize the Mammoth Road and University Avenue business corridor similar to Couple Square and the Bridge Street corridor. Second by Councilor Milonazo. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. Could we also bundle 11.6 also? It's should have put them together anyway.
Yeah, sure. If there's no objection, we'll take 11.6 simultaneously with 11.5. 11.6, just so that everybody knows, is to revitalize the High Street business corridor, similar to the Couple Square and Bridge Street corridor. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. These are two more gateways into the city of Lowell. But the one thing I'd like to say, our neighborhoods are the strength of this city. And the redevelopment of the Couple Square area has made a difference. And what's happening on Bridge Street is certainly making a difference in Centerville. So I'd like to have the DPD look into creating a possible timeline as to when these areas could be addressed. But also, I'd like to also add to this motion that, however, before they do that, that the DPD contact the neighborhood leaders to talk about the neighborhood businesses and how they see them play into the neighborhood plan. Because quite often, sometimes what happens in the neighborhood business areas, somebody does something that we'll say causes some problems in certain in different neighborhoods. But I'd like to make sure that the neighborhood leaders, working with the people in the various neighborhoods, have input into any changes that we'd make in the area or any redevelopment that would take place. This is just about redevelopment. This is just about ensuring that each area of the city is looked into and taken care of. As I said, when you look at Couple Square now, it's such a difference. When you're looking at what's happening in Bridge Street, it really is making a difference. So these are two more areas that are natural follow-ups with this plan. So I'd just like to see that, the DPD working out, see if they can develop a plan and a timeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Milonazo.
Just quickly to follow up there, they are two good motions, but I was over on Bridge Street on Sunday, and there are no, at least I didn't see them, temporary ways for people looking to go into these establishments to actually climb up over where the sidewalk has been taken out. So I don't know if there's a temporary way we can get people in and out. It was a good 2 feet, they have to jump up to get in. So again, this good motions, and I hope that they do pass, and we were able to identify funds to do these two corridors as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on the motions? If not, all in favor of the motions, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is also by Councilor Samaras. Request that the city manager of the proper department outline plans for crosswalks on Lower Andover Street between Lawrence Street and Central Streets after the road has been hard-topped. Second by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Samaras.
Thank you. There's a lot of work being done in that area, but you have the shopping center on Lower Andover Street between Lawrence Street and Central Street, and you have the businesses that are across the street. And actually, for all this time, you only have one crosswalk. There's no crosswalk at the new lights at Lawrence Street. And I've driven through that area many times, and you see people, walking across and then turn it into a run to get across the street, because also that area has become almost a speedway from Central Street to Lawrence Street. It's just, I think, the design of the road. But I think we have to make sure that we have a crosswalk that would go towards George Street and a crosswalk at Lawrence Street. It's 3, but there are many people that utilize the shopping center area and the many businesses across the street. And I've met several business people who do own businesses across from the shopping center, and they're concerned about their patrons, because sometimes some of the patrons, what they do is they park their car in the shopping center parking lot, and then they, they're not gonna walk down to the corner of Central Street and Andover Street to use the crosswalk, because they're just not available. So I'd like to see that looked into. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Council Rourke. Request that the city manager of the traffic engineer look into a 4-way stop sign at the intersection of Riverside and Spark Street. Seconded by Council Leahy. Council Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a motion that came from a few residents in that area. There've been a couple of accidents, and with school coming up back in September. I know that I've talked to the police department, and they said that it is an area of concern. Not sure if it needs a 4-way crosswalk or not, but I did speak to 3 separate families in that area that do say that obviously it's a very busy intersection with the college students. So if you just take a look at it, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Council Leary. Request that the city manager provide an update regarding the flooding and drainage issues on Alcott Street and Douglas Road, seconded by Council Leahy. Council Leary.
Just quick, I should have put Windward as well, Elcott, Windward, at that, you know what I mean, I think, so it's pretty easy. I put these are 2 separate motions. We heard a little bit about doing a diagnostic at Windward and Alcott. Like, we all received an email regarding some recent issues, if we can get an update on that and what those diagnostics are starting to show. The second one, Douglas Road, I don't think we've heard anything on that at this point, so I wanted to follow up and get those responses. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Council Leahy.
Thank you. I look forward to the report. I did speak to a few people in the neighborhood, and I did speak to a couple people at wastewater, and, there was just a tremendous amount of water at one time. The rain came down, so look forward to the report. But I do have to say that I think that the water department has a handle on this. There's more separation down on Douglas Road than I thought there was, so, but the point being, when we do get that tremendous amount of rain at one time, is there any precautions or anything else people can do to protect their home for any type of backflow or whatever? So that's what we'd like to see also in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The last motion of the evening is by myself. Request that the city manager provide an update regarding the establishing a translation bureau in the lobby at City Hall as per the motion request of March 28, 2017, seconded by Councilor Samaras. I think the motion speaks for itself, and I had a discussion with the city manager regarding the motion earlier today. Any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Milanazzo.
Just quickly, there is a language line that you can prescribe to, right? Okay. That may work just as well. Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. That concludes the agenda, except for a motion to go into executive session. But if there's no objection, we'll take announcements out of order in order that Councilor Mercia can announce the National Night Out information, and then we'll take the vote on executive session. Hearing no objection, Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's 2 issues. First, we learned earlier in our packet, neighborhood sidewalk meeting will be Wednesday, tomorrow, at 6:30 at Clemente Park. It would be a partnership between the Lowell Police Department, the Lower Highlands Neighborhood Group, and the Clemente Park Committee. They're requesting anyone that would have any important information or is interested to get to know your neighborhood police officers, learning about neighborhood groups, meetings, and how to prevent crime. If you would want to go there, it's at 6:30 tomorrow at Clemente Park, 803 Middlesex Street. And then on Tuesday, August 1st, from 4 to 9 o'clock, is the National Night Out, which brings neighbors together, first responders, local organizations, and businesses to share the evening in neighborhoods across the city. There are three areas, the North Common Park at 431 Fletcher Street, from 4 to 7, outdoor family fun. Then the second location is the Maury School, 130 Pine at Wilder Street, from 6 to 8. And then St. Louis School at 77 Bouvier Street at West 6th Street, from 6 to 9. So there's many opportunities for people to go there. If I want to just recognize the co-chairs, Sharon Callery, our very own Sandra McNamara, her daughter Tara, Vina Troiamello. These are all the co-chairs of the National Night Out, as well as Sarah Kuhn from the Lowell Police Department. So it's a very nice activity, partnership between the police, the neighbors, and many, many people, and everybody has fun. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Are there any further announcements? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to go into executive session. Chair would entertain a motion to go into executive session regarding pending litigation because a public discussion may have a detrimental effect on the city's position.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Rourke. The body will adjourn from executive session. Roll call.
Council Mercia.
Yes.
Council Milonazo.
Yes.
Council Rourke.
Yes.
Council Samaras.
Yes.
Council Belanger.
Yes.
Council Elliott.
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Council Leahy.
Yes.
Council Leary.
Yes.
9 yeas.